Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Myself together. All right. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. Can you all hear me? Is the question I'm starting off with. Good afternoon, Day. Hello, Teresa. Frederick. Hi, Judith. Latasha. Can you all hear me before I start talking and doing my thing? I got a thumbs up, but I'm not sure that's a thumbs up. Okay, Dave, thank you so much. Glad you all can hear me. Okay, before I do my intro, Latasha is saying good sunny afternoon from Charlotte. Where do you have sun? Because I'm 45 minutes out. I don't have any sun, so apparently I need to make some moves. Where is it sunny in Charlotte? I need to get to the sunshine. Good afternoon. Glad you all can hear me. Thank you all so much. Hello, Win Singer Full. I'm glad you made the live today too. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Cynthia. All right, Carmela. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna say up front, my left contact, which is my reading contact is not cooperating. So y'all just know that I can't see well. Hello, Lorraine, AKL from New York City. Okay, let me do my intro. You all are here. Thank you for being here. So I appreciate the support. Get my whole self together here. All right, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. This is Miss Bohemian Soul TV. This morning we are going to get into the segment of our um, community conversation. And this is one of the segments in the series of Creating Home, a Tiny House series. Every Sunday, I offer live content. I alternate between this conversation, the What's Your Question, and then the conversations on intimate spaces where we are speaking with someone in and around the tiny house movement. So I have some guests I need to reach out to, so we'll be back to that very soon. As I introduce myself, I always say that I built a kind of fancy tiny house in 2015, and since that time, I have shared my journey to hopefully inspire others who are interested in the movement. I do offer coaching and consultations to help others in their tiny house journey, and you'll find links to schedule with me in the video description below this content. And as I'm doing all of that, I serve up a lot of representation in this movement. I want us to see ourselves in the movement. I want us to be able to share our successes, talk about our challenges, and win together. So as I do all of that, it is my intent to build figurative and literal community that is inclusive and accessible. And if you find this information and the video helpful, like Teresa is telling you all, please like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so that you will know when content is available. All right, that is my intro. Let me get back to the video. Hello, hello, hello. All right, let me go back. Make sure I say good morning to everybody. Hello, Linda. Good morning. Let's see. All right. Hello, Deborah from Mexico. Thank you for joining. Self Love Doula. We're happy to have you here. Hello, BD. Sunny Decatur, Georgia. I'm glad you went for a nice walk this morning. I need that sunshine to make its way on up here. Hi, Crystal. Happy Sunday to you. Glad you're here. Okay, so Latasha clarified uptown, but it may dip in and out. There's a chance of rain, trying to enjoy the sun while it lasts. Okay, I can agree with that because I have seen some glimpses of sun. I am about 45 minutes outside the city, but it has been mostly rain for the last 2 days, and it is wearing on my soul. Happy Sunday, Kitty. Happy to have you here from San Diego. Hello, Robert. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hello from Georgia. Happy to have you here. Um, I was in Georgia last weekend, had a very good event that I partnered with Charlotte Van Horn from Black Expats in Panama. She was a guest here a couple of Sundays ago, and then we had our event last Sunday. That was really a really nice event. We were talking about the parallels between tiny house living and folks who are leaving the U.S., the parallels of liberation that tiny houses bring as far as downsizing and the freedom in the journey, and then also leaving the U.S. Hi, Rosalind. And then, so the event was a beautiful event. It was at a really beautiful penthouse in Buckhead, in the Lenox area. And so yeah, I intend to do some more stuff in Georgia. So stay tuned, doing some more stuff all over. I did get a chance to have lunch with Rosalind Monday, right? Yeah, Monday. We got together and were able to have lunch, so it was good to see Rosalind in the flesh, in person. So yeah, I this week I am right now I can say that I have been in the struggle. This rain, my energy is often impacted by rain, and we have had rain, I mean downpours for the last couple of days. I think it started on Friday. So anyway, I'm ready for the rain to go. So that I can get my energy back from the sun and the sunshine. Um, so yeah, what's everybody got going on this week? How was your week? Anybody do anything amazing? Have anything amazing going on? Let me see what I say. See in here, Frederick. Um, Glad to have you here. Okay, so Ella's saying experiencing cloudy, rainy, and windy weather here in NYC. Um, No, BD, it was not a private event in Atlanta. And I had advertised it on my social, so I'm sorry that you missed it. It was absolutely a fabulous time. Very informative, and a good time. Yes, Rosalind, thank you. It was fun to connect. Um, Trying to do more of that, absolutely. And y'all know I'm an introvert, so for me to say I'm trying to do more connection is is a signal that I'm in the challenge. But I um I am still navigating all things, um figuring out long my disability through my job. I'm exhausted short term. I'm in an in between space. Um where they are doing an investigation to make sure I haven't had pre-existing conditions before I qualify for disability. And so I've been in this holding pattern for a while, which is I keep saying to the woman as she's reviewing all of my information from my doctors, and they've got like 500 pages of information from the mini stroke that I had in December. And so everything that she's reviewing says I need to avoid stress. And so I keep reminding her as she's taking, and it's not her personally, so nothing personal to her, but as they're going through this process that is long and drawn out, that they are absolutely stressing me because there is no money during this time. So I'm over it, very over it. Trying to move through this. And the part that I keep reminding myself on the days where I'm in the good space, I keep reminding myself that I feel like I'm on the cusp of something really good, something really great in the direction that I want to move in. But being on the cusp of something doesn't pay bills, and so I can't reach out to these folks and say I'm on the cusp of greatness. Can y'all just hang on, or can y'all use that I'm on the cusp of greatness to pay this bill? So I do need some income. Um, so it is this space of challenge in knowing the things that I want to do relative to tiny houses and building community and growing that work and growing that work to where it is something that is sustainable. And then I feel like so much of this process um, is why folks give up, because being in this interim space, in knowing, well, I could go, even though I'm not healthy enough to go back to a job, I could go back to the job because there's a paycheck. Um, so, and I feel like part of, all of these systems are designed not in our favor. So I feel like the part of the game of it all is to get you to go back to work and not focus on your health and not take advantage of your benefits. So it's this space of trying to navigate all of those and still stay sane, still stay healthy, still be able to eat, still be able to pay the bills, and take care of yourself. And as I'm considering, well, you could go back to work and there would be a paycheck. I'm also considering, but work almost killed you, and why would you want to step back into a space that almost killed you? So it is that space that I find myself in. Yes, Rosalind. Yeah. Yeah, that all of that. So yeah, that's where I am. So Crystal says, I'm editing videos from last week and went to Off-Gridish Band Life event. They have tours on their channel. They'll have tours on their channel soon. I did see that they had an event. I'm glad that you were able to go to that. I look forward to seeing that content. Rosalind is still recovering from a scholarship gala on Thursday. 93 Black scholars were awarded. That's beautiful. I saw your pictures. You were fabulous. You looked so much like your picture here that you use for your socials. You were queening. You were very fabulous. I'm glad, and that's beautiful. 93 scholars receiving awards. Good morning, Crystal. I hope to connect with you in Georgia one day. I think your friend lives in or near me in Covington. What friend is that, I wonder? I do have some friends near Covington, in Covington. I wonder who that is. I used to actually work, when I lived in Atlanta, I worked in that area. So I wonder who you're speaking to. I do hope to connect with you. Like I said, I intend to do some Georgia things. Crystal is saying, I'm just trying to get this school year over, not with my job, hoping to become a supervisor before next school year, but really want my channel to flourish again so I can work for myself. Hey, I feel you, Crystal, from your mouth to God's ears, me and you both. Um, oh, you're saying you're not happy with your job. Oh, okay. I can relate and understand that. I hope that works um works for you. Absolutely. Um, Rosalind is saying the in between can be very challenging. Absolutely. And that's the thing that I keep saying to myself, is that I'm looking forward to being on the other side of this, um, and to look back at the struggle and just know what it took to get to where I feel like I'm going. But the in between is the challenge, absolutely. And I recognize that. I recognize that from building my tiny house. Like, that was 3 months of absolute hell. And I had no intention for it to go that way, but finances, as well as the challenges I had working with my builder, I found myself in that space, and it was such a stressful space, and then an unnecessarily stressful space, and then now, almost 10 years in the movement, the option to look back and see how the journey has benefited me, and how, I don't know, I struggle to say it was worth it, because I don't feel like we should have to go through unnecessary struggle to get to places. Like, you can expect that there are going to be challenges, and you can expect that difficulties, but some stuff doesn't have to be experienced. So I'm going to struggle with saying it was worth it. I'm happy to be on this side of it. I'm happy to be in my house. I still love my house, but some of the struggle isn't necessary. Some of the struggle we know we have to expect. So yeah. And then I always say that, that has been my experience, especially as, someone gets laid off. I've been laid off so many doggone times I can't even count. But being laid off also led me to some amazing next opportunities. And so that's always been my encouragement to people in that space. And again, that's a difficult space to navigate because you need finances. And if you haven't been given a package, or the package is a short package, and trying to get to that, to what is the next, is the challenge, and it's scary. And I know that I've been there several times, but I also know that as I got to next was always greater than where I'd left. And oftentimes it is the thing that propels us forward in our journey when we've been complacent or comfortable in a space. Maybe we're not 100% happy, but it's the devil that you do know versus the devil that's out there. And it works. It works for your schedule. It works for all of the things, but then you don't know that there's an opportunity out there that will work even better, or provide more freedom, more options, or all of the things, and more money. And so that has always been the case for me, where being laid off, it has propelled me to something greater. So I'm trying to remember all of those things. But when you're in that in-between space, it's hard to stay in that space. Okay, so Robert is saying, do you know if tiny homes are more prone to crime or robbery more so than regular sized homes, assuming that tiny homes are more isolated? Is that a fair statement? I don't think so. I don't know. I'm going to say no for that one. Not all tiny homes are isolated. Rural spaces are isolated, but there are also regular homes that are isolated. I'm going to say no to that. I'm also not putting that out there in the universe. No, I don't. I mean, I don't think the size of the home has anything to do with being more prone to crime. Tiny houses that are in rural spaces are generally isolated, just like houses in rural spaces, and I don't think it has anything. I don't think they're more susceptible because of their size. Thank you, Rosalind. The in-between can be very challenging. Stay encouraged because greater is coming. I'm trusting and believing that. Key. Hi, Key. Good afternoon, Key. I absolutely agree. No job is worth your mental health and physical well-being. I agree so much. Hi, Lamoy T. So, Lay, Morty, and Frederick are members of the Patreon community, and they've been there for 4 months, and so they are receiving their Soul Collective T-shirts this week, and so thank you for being part of that community, and I'm excited, and congratulations to you all. And so those of you that are part of the Patreon community, I'm going to drop some links over here. This week we have our monthly group connection. So Wednesday, is it Wednesday or Thursday that we do this? Wednesday the 8th. It is the second Wednesday of each month. And so in the Patreon community, we have a monthly get together. It is kind of very similar to this, but it is one of the things where people can be on camera and we can be in conversation. Somebody asked about that last week, and that is what we do in Patreon. For me, my preference is to be able to do that in Patreon to to have a more intimate and protected space so that we know who is there and we can have open dialogue. So that is Wednesday. Let me tell y'all what time. 7 o'clock. So if you all can remember that and join and participate, so we can have some conversation over there, I would love to see you guys. So thank you. All right, let's see what else I have. No, Teresa, you asked me about Aflac. No, we don't have Aflac through my job, unfortunately. I've often seen those commercials, and it looks like there's a lot of benefit to having Aflac, but we don't have that. The in between is very challenging. It's tested me in every way. I even got angry and gave up, but my son lifted me up and reminded me of the things I taught him and my daughter. That's beautiful. That is beautiful, and it also shows how they're paying attention to the things that we are sharing. So we have to continue to be the example to them, even when we don't feel like it. Um, yeah. Hi, V. Good afternoon. Rosalind is saying I became a multi-thousandaire when I got laid off 8 years ago, and I haven't. Something she's gonna. I know somewhere she's down the line finishing this. A multi-thousandaire. I love that. Happy Sunday, Rachel. Happy Sunday. Grand rising from the mountains on a beautiful sunny day. I'm glad you have sunshine and beauty. Congratulations. That's exciting. Teresa is saying, I think that in between builds your character, shows you how tough you are, but it is very hard to do. Absolutely very hard to do. Absolutely. Ella's saying, life is life and navigating the personal and professional, working on itinerary projects. Oh, literary projects. I told y'all my left contact, my reading contact was giving me the business, so I missed that as a L. It's exhausting, but part of my journey as a writer, poet laureate, artist, and mental health counselor. That sounds exciting. I look forward to the projects that you're working on, you sharing them. Key is saying, I'm happy I refocused because thankfully my reprieve has come. That's beautiful. That's encouraging also. One of the things, so I always talk about um, identifying the ways that you get in your own way. And so that is something that I do well. And so it is um, uh, interestingly enough, so I am trying to move into some, and I've been talking about this for a while with you all. My intent, my plan, my work, my calling that I feel is moving more into developing community. And that is the direction, developing communities. And I'm speaking of literal communities. And that is the direction that I see my work going on in, and that is like the next progression for the work that I am doing. It is the piece that is where my soul is led to work into building communities, building safe communities, and I'm still obviously focused on tiny houses on wheels. And so the interesting thing is I'm trying to move into that space, and I kind of see that work as like development. And this week, as I was looking at some of that work, the first thing that came to my mind was um, that I needed to take some classes so that I could feel like I had the education to work in that space. And I immediately started looking at some classes, and then I started looking around in the space of folks who are doing tiny house community development, and started recognizing that that has just that they don't have those credentials either, but they're moving in those spaces because they decided they were moving in those spaces, and they didn't necessarily feel like they needed to have the credentials, where as I do, I always feel like I'm not qualified to work in a space. And this is something that it's how I ended up in corporate America, finishing my degree, my business degree. It was something that I had been working on since my daughter was born. I was in college when I had my daughter, and so I stopped going to school. And later on, it was my desire to finish school. It was my desire to finish school before my daughter finished, which I didn't do. But so much of the drive, even though it was something that I just said I wanted to do, so much of my drive also was relative to the fact of working in corporate America and feeling like in some of the meetings and in some of the conversations and feeling like I didn't belong at this table because I hadn't finished my degree. And then I finished my degree and I recognized that nothing I learned in my degree was relative to any of the work that I was doing. And then as I started really looking at people's work and input and what they brought to the table, oftentimes I ran circles around them, and they had, multi degrees. And I sometimes would run circles around them without even really trying. And so that has been the thing that I have had to remind myself of, that it is the qualifications or the worthiness, and it is often it sometimes it's relative to our community, feeling like knowing that we have to run circles around folks and have 20 degrees to be recognized for what it is that we know. But then also, and then it's also a man-woman thing. Men oftentimes just show up and they know everything, and they don't have to have any qualifications. They know how to. I mean, there are studies that have shown how for job applications, when people send in their resumes, women will look at the job description, and unless they can do, I don't know the specific numbers, but unless they can do like the majority of the things, or unless they feel like they have qualifications in the majority of the things that job description is asking for, they won't apply. Where a man can look at it and just be like, oh, I know I can do this, and have no qualifications, and they'll send in their resume. And so that is societal. It has a lot to do with racism, the toll of white supremacy, but it also oftentimes has a lot to do with the person just feeling like, oh, I know how to do all of those things. And sometimes it's confidence, and sometimes it is unawareness, because you absolutely have no clue, and you're going to go somewhere and screw something up, but just because you feel like you can do all of the things. So it is, for me, it is the trying to stay in a space of not downplaying what it is that I do know or the skills that I have, and trying to be in that space of owning my gifts. And so it is just a weird space that I remain in the ways that I get in my own ways, my own way. And so I've decided I'm not taking classes right now. One, it's not in the non-existent budget, but it's also something that I don't necessarily need right now. And I've had to have that conversation with myself. So it is, there was a conversation that I saw happening on Instagram, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to remember whose page it was on. I have her book. Maybe her book isn't right here. Oh, yes, it is. Ebony Janice. That's whose page it was on. She was talking about, Ebony Janice wrote All the Black Girls Are Activists, and I have her book. But she was talking about the kind of the ways that we get in our own way, and also and this is a relative a bit to imposter syndrome, and I've spoken about that before, but she was talking about something that her mentor said to her, and when I kind of summarized it, she said her comment was, whatever God said about me is the truth. And when I summarized that, it was like, who am I not to be and to not walk in the greatness that has been gifted to me from God, and to then have the audacity to allow mere mortals to make me question my God-given gifts. And that was the whole point that I needed to see and to think through. And the interesting part for me was, I've been going through all of this, as I'm trying to navigate these new spaces and the work that I want to do. I had a young lady who flew in this past Wednesday. She flew in from Missouri, and I had shared her comment to me on Instagram because she actually came to the festival. Unfortunately, as was the case for so many people at the festival, because there wasn't enough signage and folks knowing exactly what was going on. She had come into the festival and didn't realize that there were workshops going on, so she didn't know how to find me on site, which is like the fourth or the fifth person that I've had that conversation with, and it really makes me sad that happened to folks. But she had come in from Missouri, and then she came in last week again because she wanted to meet with me. And she shared with me that she's followed me for many years, and my share of my journey and my life and moving in this space, and then who I was as a young single mom, encouraged her. And she purchased a manufactured home, and she has three children, and she purchased a manufactured home that she worked on fixing up. She wasn't able to buy a tiny house, but she purchased a manufactured home and rehabbed it. She moved, she had an apartment. The apartment became very expensive, and instead of, and folks encouraged her to move to a studio apartment, and she had I think, her oldest child, like there's I believe a gap between, she has two younger children, and it's a boy and a girl. And she said folks encouraged her to move to a studio apartment, and she didn't want to do that. She wanted her children to have their own rooms. And so she moved in with her mom for a while, purchased a manufactured home, rehabbed it, and now her children, and it was a 3-bedroom, and so now her children have their own rooms, and it is the thing. And she did this a few years ago, but she said the inspiration was watching the things that I say and share, and it has helped her to be in a financial position to save her family. And so she came down to meet with me. She wanted to tell me that in person, and talk about the things that she's interested in doing, in helping other young single moms. And so that was, like somebody who, and the funny thing for me is, like, I will fly somewhere to meet somebody that I feel is inspirational, but I don't, for somebody to do that was very, because as she said she wanted to meet with me, and she said she was in Missouri. I was like, do you want to meet virtually? Like, and she was like, no, I want to come in and meet you in person. And so that was a big thing for me to acknowledge, and to accept that this person felt the desire, I don't want to say the need, the desire to come and meet me and to share their story, and to share with me how it inspired them and had helped them live their life when I don't see myself that way, as I'm seeing myself over here in this struggle, trying to decide whether I need a class to take myself to this next space. And so it is all of this that I have the ways in which we don't see our own journey, or we're so deep in our own journey we don't see the good or the work that we're doing that comes out of that journey. Or when you're moving in spaces, like right now there's a lot of quiet in my spaces. I've shared me being very isolated, so I've been trying to go into the office space that I work out of in Charlotte to be around people, because trying to move to that next level of transition, when you're in transition is hard. And I've always said that, like, I can be in transition, when, like, job transition, but home life is good, or everything else is good. But when everything, or my health is good, everything else is okay, but maybe my job is kind of off. But when everything is kind of in an upheaval and you're in that space of total transition, and you're like you're I had a word and I lost my word. Um, you're totally being upended to come to this other space where I keep saying, like, I feel like I'm on the cusp of something great. Like, I know everything. I kind of see it like being in a blender. Like, everything is in this space of turmoil, for lack of a better word, and maybe turmoil is the word. But I know once that blender stops, then it's going to be something fabulous, and I know it's going to be something beautiful, and it's going to be something that brings me joy. But it is the understanding of, when does the blender stop? And so, yeah, that is in the space that I am trying to navigate. And so that conversation that I saw in Ebony Janice, and she likes for folks to say Ebony Janice, and I respect that so much. That is what you need to call her, Ebony Janice. Who am I? What her statement was, whatever God said about me is the truth. And that is so important to me, because it is something bigger than me. It is the part that I don't see. And so when I broke that down, who am I not to be, and to not walk in the greatness that has been gifted to me from God, and to then have the audacity to allow mere mortals make me question my God-given gift. So that is kind of what I've been working on this week, trying to stay in that mental space. And it's hard because, and one of the things I say to myself every day, it's okay to not be okay, because I'm used to pushing through, because I'm the strong person. But it's okay to not be okay, and to admit that you're not okay. V is asking me, have I considered placing a tiny home on a small piece of property as a rental overall to create income? I think you'd be a shoo-in for that form of venture. I would love to do that. It is part of my desire to build a community to be able to do that. I couldn't. It is the owning of the property, but it is the work it is kind of the direction that I'm trying to go into. I Last week, another thing that kind of hit that I think kind of was deflating a bit was, so I've been working on a project with, I've shared with you all, Josh, who I've had here, who has the RV park in Georgia. We've been working together to his next step for his community is building a tiny house community, and we were working together on navigating what that looks like. And he has some priority shifts that have happened, and so that's going to have to be postponed for a minute. And so that was something that I was very excited on working on, because to me that was going to be the opportunity to create the prototype that I envisioned in my head. So, but I also know that in a friend that I just met last week in Sharonda was reminding that as a door closes, and I don't know that that door has closed completely, but I'm also trying to lean into not forcing things and trusting, and that's a lot of this space of being in the blender is a lot of trusting. And so trusting that whatever, if the door is completely shut, or if the door is kind of cracked open but it closed for right now, trusting that was by divine design, and that's where what needs to happen. So that's a lot of the spaces that I've been in, and the spaces that I'm navigating. Good afternoon, Steadfast. Happy to have you here. Crystal is saying, I'll be honest, I really go into Patreon. I'm adding it to my calendar now. I know, y'all, that audience over there is hard. I'm tap dancing for y'all over there. I need some engagement. Please get engaged. And yes, Wednesday, I'm looking forward to you all being there. Hi, Shay. Hello. I had just said your name, so happy to see that you're here. Frederick. Okay, Frederick. I Wednesday for our conversation. Congratulations to you. Um Rosalind is saying I haven't looked back after becoming a multi-thousand year thousandaire 8 years ago. That's beautiful. I need that I need the multi-thousandaire cushion to keep me going. That's the thing. Where I said um um I can't say to these folks, I'm on the cusp of something great. Can you all take that as a payment? I need some multi-thousandaire, multi-millionaire. Crystal is asking, will you be on next Sunday? It's Mother's Day. Um, I just put it together that it's Mother's Day next Sunday. I'm thinking maybe not, so that you all can enjoy Mother's Day. And I did just get invited to dinner with some folks for Mother's Day, so maybe we'll take the Sunday off, and maybe that's what we should do. Thank you, Shay. Hello, Mayo. Greetings. Um, so thank you, B. I am absolutely trying to go into that. So BD is asking, do you mean developing communities similar to what Booker T is doing? Yes, yes and no. Because yes and no. I still want to focus more on tiny houses on wheels, but I feel like to get there, I do have to focus more on foundation and kind of back into it. So yes, but not necessarily. Well, I also don't want to limit my what God has for me. I have not envisioned them to be the level of houses that Booker's built. I want to stay more on the smaller. You might see them as like cottage houses, the smaller scale tiny house communities. My desire is to focus on something on a smaller scale than that. But again, I'm not limiting what's out there for me. But yes and no. Crystal is saying I've been procrastinating several projects I've started and stopped. I'm definitely getting in my own damn way. I don't have the drive right now. My job is sucking the life out of me. I can relate to that so much, Crystal, and that is why I share in my vulnerability here. As I've shared with you all that I've been ostriching. That's what I kind of call it. We're just sticking my head in the sand because it is so often. It is a challenge to keep yourself motivated and moving when things are in transition or things are in upheaval. And absolutely, I'm right there with you. So I'm struggling to find the joy and drive to do the things I love and want to do for me to be free of the job. It is the conundrum that you find yourself in. I again can relate to that 100%. It is the because it's all tied together, the job, the finances, the energy, the motivation, all of that is like circular, and so I can relate to that 100%. We have to keep encouraging each other, for sure. um BD is what credentials are you getting? Right now I'm holding on the credentials because I'm using what I have. I see my counterparts using what they have, and I'm right there with them. So I'm going with that and reading and doing the things. Have you sketched your dream communities? Absolutely. I've done that. I did that at least a year and a half ago. I have a prototype that I keep close to the vest. It's a beautiful prototype of a tiny house community that I have. I presented to some folks here a year and a half ago, and I haven't shared it out because the last thing I want is somebody to, once you put it out on the internet, then it becomes everybody else's property. But I absolutely have, because one of the things about tiny houses is that it's visual, and as I'm talking to folks about creating community. Where I can visualize it in my head, I've recognized that most people can't. It's the same reason why people come to my house and they're like, "Oh my God, it's so much bigger than I imagined," because they start doing in their head. I live in a doghouse because they can't visualize what the or conceptualize the space. And so absolutely I do have a sketch as well as a visual of moving through this community and what the community would look like. B is saying Jewel could take a shack and make it happen. She is surrounded by so many key people in the field. You would think that she would have support for days. Thank you, V. I appreciate that. It's funny, the young lady that came down this week, Wednesday, I had her meet me at the office space that I use in Charlotte. And when she came in the space, she said, "This space looks like your tiny house." And it was so funny to me because the office space I have, the decor in the office space is um, is for it to be. If I'm going to spend time there, I want to be happy in the space, and so it is so very much my style. And that was funny to me that she said that. So I thank you. Shay is saying, thanks for your transparency. You've got this. You're more qualified because you live in this space. Your best work comes from where you live, Sharonda. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So BD is saying, your experience building your tiny house is your base experience. Can you partner with folks who have the expertise you think you are missing? So the interesting thing about that, BD, and you, it was just kind of said before, the interesting thing in moving through this movement is that I've learned so long ago is that so many folks are like in my corner. This is my space, and I'm not willing to share my knowledge and you could have supported those folks for many years, and then they move off into their space, and they're not willing to do the pull behind or to share or to bring folks up to speed or mentoring, and without saying, I'm now at this level and you're going to have to pay this fee to work with me, which is the interesting part of all of this. And it's also so it is the lesson in everybody's not open to giving and to sharing. Most oftentimes people are very much takers. And so I am often learned that the hard way, because I go into, and I share this with you all the time, I go into being in open and like, oh, this is the goal that we're working on, then hey, I'm in, let's work on this goal together. And I give at 150%, and then I recognize that's not what everybody else is bringing to the table. Oftentimes they're just only willing to take, and only willing to give at this particular level, and then leave you out there. Leave you out there. I'm gonna leave it at that. Experiencing that on some other projects that I've gone into to support. So you would think that would be the thing. You would think, but it's not. Everybody's not at that level, and so it is. I think this is one of the journeys where one of the things that I am reading and learning, and in the trusting of this process, there's this thing that you have to trust and know that the people that you need along your journey, where in the spaces that you're trying to go, that they will be placed and you will meet those people along this journey, and they will be placed there. And I am trusting that, and that's absolutely happening for me. And I'm so very grateful in that those people just kind of show up organically, and and that's kind of how you know you're in this right space and you're in this right direction, where people just show up, and the resources and the people who, and maybe they don't stay the entire time, but you're able to glean something from them, or they give you, another a clue or a step or some information to help you move to the next space. And I am extremely grateful that is what is happening. And it is also part of the encouragement to know that you're in the right path and you're doing the right things when those things start happening. And when people show up and say that they want to support you, or they want to be part of what you're doing because of of your energy, or they've seen some other work that you've done, or they've had a conversation with you many years ago, and the way that you showed up in that conversation. And so that is the part that, and y'all already know I ain't trying to get emotional with y'all today. That is the part that is sustaining me in that. um just keep trying to be that right person, and the resources and the people will show up as they're supposed to. um Mayo is saying it's definitely a balancing act, experiencing some of the same, but recalling I'm missing out when I put myself last. It doesn't benefit me. That is absolutely something that you have to remind yourself of, and it's part of one the part of the things that I've had to do really now is focus on my meditation practice and focus on those things, the reminders that I need to go into the day, to remind myself. If you're not used to putting yourself first, or if you're one of the things that I've shared, if you're the strong person in the circle, and folks are used to coming to you for help, and they're not used to helping you, and you're not used to asking for help. I'm not used to asking for help. I'm the person that people lean on, and so it's an uncomfortable space for me to be in a place where I need to ask for help. And it's also one of the things that I have learned in this is when you don't look like you're in the struggle, or you don't look like you, from a physical perspective. I think so many people initially, like when I shared that I had a mini stroke, I think people expected me to look a certain way. So one of the things with the mini stroke, the difference between a mini stroke, a TIA, versus a stroke is that most of the time it's recoverable, that you gain your the physical capabilities immediately or very soon thereafter. And so I shared that as that experience was happening, I completely lost all of my body control on the left side. I lost body control. I lost the ability to speak initially, and then it came back very slurred, and the whole entire left side of my body, I could not control. I couldn't make it do anything. The only thing that did not happen was my face did not droop. But then before I even got in the ambulance to go to the hospital, all of that had returned, thankfully, gratefully. So I haven't had to do rehab or anything like that. And I've shared that my speech recall, my memory is a little impacted, and I've shared that part. But I think initially people, and I don't want to say that they have ill intent. I'm not going to put that on other people. I can't speak to what their deal is, but I think people sometimes expect that you need to look away for them to support you or to have sympathy. Because I don't look like I had a mini stroke, like the support and the care and the concern is non-existent, because you're able to move and do the things that you were able to do, even though behind all of that, there's still some of those same challenges. So it is a journey. It is a journey of, like I said, rethinking the strong person, or rethinking how you care about other folks and you don't necessarily care about yourself, or you don't care about yourself as a priority, and also rethinking how much you care about other folks versus taking some of that care internally. So, or and understanding that that's not selfish. That is self-care. That is what you need to do to take care of you. Thank you, Crystal. Jewel, go ahead and sketch your dream communities and step into them, but you must do it joyfully to maintain good health. Walk the dream. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no other way I want to walk into this work of community than to do it joyfully. Um, um, I just had this conversation about something else, and how you have to set yourself up in the right way for your next moves, because when you don't have the proper foundation for things, you can't expect things to be successful. When you haven't acquired the resources in the right way to move to your next step, you can't expect things to go well. And that is, that's not me putting, juju out there, as some folks would call it. It is the law of karma. Biblically, it is sowing what you reap. It is all of those things. And so I absolutely agree with that. Um, that is the way it has to be done, walking joyfully. And I have to stay in that space for my health. I cannot afford to be in stress. I cannot afford to worry like I normally would worry, because all of that manifests itself in the body, and I can't afford that at all. Um, Crystal is saying I'm having a hard time getting out of this funk. There's way more going on in life that contributes to it, but this isn't a place for all of that. Crystal, reach out. Um, moving. I keep saying I'm trying to move towards the light. I'm trying to stay in sunshine. I'm trying to move into spaces that are joyful, that have some energy. I don't. One of the things that I miss about this rural space is not having sidewalks. Like, it's a lot of land out here, but there are also animals and snakes and stuff. So I go into and y'all know I don't do snakes. I go into the city because I miss sidewalks. I miss some of that. So I've been trying to go into the city to get some of that. May is saying, I tune in because of your knowledge. In my opinion, you already have what the books teach. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, thank you. Trying to own that. You and me both, Crystal. Robert gave you some tips, riding the bike in the sun and watching the sunrise. Ella's saying, you are living in your purpose. Y'all not about to get me today. You have been called to this space. Please do not ever question your qualifications. Keep doing what you're doing. Degrees do not mean you're qualified. Absolutely. Absolutely. Y'all got me. Teresa is saying, for me, applying and having all the credentials is what I do, but when I have the interview, they ask me all the questions, but because I give them all of the info and then some, I get you're overqualified. Right. It's that circle of nonsense. Um, thank you, BD. Thank you. Um, yes, B. When you're starting to do other people's jobs, you need to branch out and start your own projects. Yes. Glad you got a plan, Crystal. What is your cat doing? So I have an audience outside. Y'all know it. I have somehow turned into the cat lady. There are several cats out here. And today they learned that they can come close to the bathroom window. I hadn't gone outside to give them their food yet, and so I had an audience outside the bathroom window. They can figure out where I am in the house, and so there was an audience outside the bathroom window this morning to let me know that they were out and ready to be fed. And these aren't my cats. They're my neighbors. Not no, not my neighbors' cats. I'm saying the cats are my neighbors. But I feed them. We have a coexisting relationship. I feed them so that they can then go out and keep everything clear. And since they've been here, I've not seen a snake around in my area. So our relationship is working to my liking and my benefit. Thank you, May. Thank you. Um, Thank you, Crystal. Robert is saying she came to you because it seems that you're easy and pleasing to talk to. Being as beautiful as you are is always a plus. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Shay, Crystal, and Teresa are reminding you all to like the live. Thank you, so y'all can help me grow this channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely, absolutely. It is coming. We are speaking the Soul Collective Tiny House on Wheels community in existing. It is going to happen. And Teresa is saying no does not mean no. It sometimes means not yet or wait. Absolutely, I agree with that. Okay, Frederick is saying I will not miss our session this week. Thank you. I need to see you all in our Patreon community. Crowdsourcing is your friend. You are a dynamic personality and able to draw like-minded people. I would certainly be a supporter. It could also be a training tool for you and a tax write-off. Thank you. I am open to these ideas, and I feel like, make a note of that. I feel like some of this is new space, new territory for me, but it also is something that I need to consider to move into this next space. So I made a note of that. Thank you for that. Yes, Rosalind, I'm gonna need you to be engaged in Patreon as well. We are getting together on Wednesday. Cynthia is asking, have I ever listened to the young couple from Our Rich Journey on YouTube? They moved out of the U.S. I know who they are. I haven't seen their content. But yes, that's I need to pay attention. I'll look at their content, but that is something that is absolutely a thing. And we talked about that last Sunday. And there were several people in the room who've also moved out of the country, in addition to Charlotte, who was one of the hosts, and have shared how their lives have been enriched as part of that. B is saying the one question I didn't ask at the Tiny House Festival seminars was, is it possible to have the tiny house on wheels and secure it to a foundation by welding it to make it legal? So because the rules are going to vary by city and county, legalities are going to be determined by that specific city and county. And I was having this conversation with Rosalind on Monday when we got together for lunch. One of the rules some cities or counties might enact is that it can't be on wheels, that the tiny house, the structure can't be on wheels. The challenge for that for a tiny house on wheels is that it's built on wheels and you can't separate. So my house is built into the trailer, that it is the foundation of it. It is not attached to the trailer. Like, it doesn't have the foundation, the floor of my tiny house is actually the trailer. So you purchase this trailer, you insulate it, you build the subfloor, the flooring, and then you build the framing from this trailer. So the trailer is the integral part of the tiny house. So you cannot detach it from the trailer. But if the requirement is to remove the wheels, or the requirement is to secure it to a foundation, you can absolutely take the wheels off of the axles. You're not removing the axles, removing the wheels from the axles, and then securing the axles, very much like I have secured my tiny house, because even with my tiny house sitting on property, I don't want it to sit directly on the wheels for a long time period, because it is going to make my tires dry rot. And you also want the security of a tie down, and I've spoken about tie downs, and I'll add that tie down video to the information of this video. So I my house isn't sitting on the wheels. I've taken the wheels off and tied my house down with mobile home tie downs that are anchors. I think augers, I think is another word for them. They go into the ground. You can concrete them in. They go deep down into the earth, making sure that you have hard ground. My tie down plan was designed by a structural engineer. It is really like on 6 points of my house, the four corners and middle spots of the house, tied down, and that often will suffice for the legalities of a city or county. Or they might require you to do something similar to that if you don't plan on moving your house again. Like I wouldn't try to secure my frame into a slab of concrete. I just have the individual tie down points secured into the ground with concrete, because I also want to be able to undo that when I want to move my house, if and when I want to move my house. But if your intent is to stay on this property, never move the house, then you could utilize more concrete. I wouldn't advise trying to concrete the trailer, the body of the trailer into concrete, but more secure tie downs, then securing the tie downs more than what I have as kind of a temporary or a tie down that can be undone. You can look into that, but there's not one general rule that's going to make it legal. It is going to depend on that city. It's going to depend on that county, what their rules are. And if they don't have rules, wherever you're going, whatever city, county you are going into, if they don't have rules, then that's one of the things that I always suggest that you propose, because oftentimes they don't know anything about tiny houses. So you go into proposing that, and you have in the same thing, a structural engineer. They'll sketch out the diagram, and then you go in with your plans that a professional engineer has put together for the safety of securing your tiny house, and how it should be done, and at what points it should be done, and then you make that recommendation. Absolutely. Rosalind says, I reduced my tiny living expenses almost to the point of obnoxiousness. That has sustained me. Chris was saying, I really want husband and I to schedule a visit to your tiny house on wheels. He definitely doesn't get it as far as size and livability of it. You are past due for a visit. I think that was 2018 when you came to my house, 2017 or 2018 when I was in the city. So absolutely, you all are welcome. V is saying, Rosalind, what you've done is what most successful folks do in order to get where they want to be. I'm trying to do the same. Absolutely. Thank y'all for multi-streaming. I appreciate y'all. Day is saying, so true regarding some people are takers. I lost a few friends behind me saying no to some of their many outlandish requests. It occurred as soon as I retired. They are missed, but God's cleaning house. You got to know it. Absolutely. Being the strong friend sucks. It absolutely does. When you don't have when you don't have the folks that recognize you are the strong friend, and sometimes they need to lean into you. Denise is saying, I'm new to your channel. Enjoy listening to your journey. Will you be writing a book, or have you written a book of your experience? Denise, that is one of my things on my list that I've been ostriching about. But yes, it is coming. It is coming. I promise it is coming. Thank you. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Rachel is asking, are Thank you, Shay. Are RV parks viable for tiny houses on wheels communities since the infrastructure is there and they are for sale all over? Absolutely. That is one of the best ways to get into a tiny house community. The challenge, though, is right now because everybody is trying to build a tiny house community. Some of them are so very expensive, and you definitely want to be able to find one that is in a good location, because the other challenge is, the folks that are going to live in the community are going to need access to um, some amenities, decent stores nearby, maybe not so far from an airport. You want to make sure it's a space where it's not so rural that you also have access to Wi-Fi and the basic things and you'll be surprised, like where I am, it has been a challenge for me to get Wi-Fi. So it sounds unheard of, but it's not absolutely unheard of. So like when I came out here, it's one of the things that I've shared was so interesting to me is like when I opened up my phone to see Wi-Fi in the area, there was absolutely nothing, and I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. So I've had a challenge getting Wi-Fi out here. So you have to be sure it's a community that is livable for people, and it's going to be a draw for people. But that is the absolute best way to get into a tiny house community, through an RV park or a mobile home park, because the infrastructure is there and it's already zoned in the way that you want to go into for a community. I do have a Patreon and I sell merchandise. Thank you. I'm dropping that link again. And I also offer consultations. And I'm getting ready to kick up my some workshops too. Let me see where I was. Um, no, Crystal is responding to Rachel. Rachel was asking from a purchasing perspective, not whether a tiny house can go in that space. Agree. Teresa is saying, I stopped being a people pleaser a long time ago. Walk in your victory in your light. Chanel is saying, first time joining and love the conversation and you sharing so much. I missed the tiny home workshops held in Concord. Looking forward to learning more. You are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you and welcome to the channel. I hate that you missed that too. They were absolutely fabulous. Hi, Keisha. Trusting that even in stillness there is growth when we are being intentional about creating the life we love and thrive in. I agree. Um, yes, I agree with that 100%. Rosalind saying a degree just means you finished something. At the end of the day, it's the lived experiences that matter the most. I agree with that 100%. I think so much of society has, and so much of society is trying to keep some folks out of spaces, and so for so long you weren't even able to get in certain spaces if you didn't have the degree, and especially for the older generation, so much stock is put on, do you have the qualifications, when, like what you all are saying, it is the lived experience that matters the most. Shay is laughing at my cats. Yeah, they're interesting. So I need to get through all these comments, but I want to talk about these cats. So what I have learned, not being the cat person, I am a dog person. Not being the cat person, but out here existing with these cats is, so when I first moved out here, they were all very feral. They would run away from me. They would hiss at me. Um, Obviously, they would eat if I put food down for them, but I couldn't come near them, and they would hiss even as I was bringing them food. But one of the generations, like it was a second generation, as I bring them food, and I am really allergic to cats, which is another thing. So when I finish messing with them, most of the time I have to go take some allergy medicine. But I started as they the baby a new generation was born, and as I'd feed them, I could touch them a little bit, only while they were eating. And so I started touching them, and eventually they got more used to me touching them, and they let me touch them while they were eating. And then that generation had babies, and they're just really accustomed to me because I've been around the entire time. The things that I've learned about them is like that first generation that I met when I first came out here, the feral generation. They don't meow at all. They just hiss. And so then I learned this second generation learned to meow, and it is a learned behavior because they realized they can communicate with me by meowing. And I've looked up all of this information. So all of these younger cats all meow, and the older cats, the more feral cats, do not. And it's funny to me when I look at these meowing cats. It's almost like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, what? We don't do that. So my journey out here with cats has been interesting. I fought a skunk over a kitten. The skunk was trying to attack a kitten, so I had a whole fight with the skunk. That fortunately he didn't spray me. He sprayed the kitten, but my house and my hands and everything smelled terribly for almost 2 weeks. So that was a lesson learned. But they're all very sweet. They're all very needy. And again, I've never been the cat person, but I have a whole clan of cats out here who and I'm not close enough or know enough about cats to figure out whether they're girls or boys. Sometimes I just figure out they're girls because they come back and they're pregnant. And we have this conversation about, y'all are irresponsible. You don't need to be pregnant. But at some point I considered trying to catch them and get them spayed, but that's also very expensive. And so if I wasn't out here, they'd still be doing what they're doing. So they're doing what they're doing, and I'm minding my business. I have learned to not get so attached to them, which has been hard, because when some of them disappear, I know something has happened out here, because it is the whole circle of life. And so I've learned to not get so attached, because that breaks my heart. But I have had to admit that there is a circle of life happening, and so sometimes they disappear, and I hope that they've just gone to somebody else's house and they're okay. I have discovered that there's also a bobcat out here, a bobcat with a family, because the bobcat showed up on the back porch as they were chasing some of these cats. And so it's just like, this is, I'm not exactly sure. And so before I even moved out here, I had an incident with the cat. In 2018, the cat would come by the house every day and climb up my screens. Like, the cat just really wanted to come in my house. And a friend of mine came and got that cat, and that cat now is a indoor cat. But something about cats, they're drawn to me. Animals are drawn to me. I've had an experience out here with a wild bird that let me pet it. I often joke and say I believe they feel like my house is Noah's Ark. But yeah, I have a whole experience with cats, and they'll sit. They're out there right now. They'll sit and watch and call me when I'm not paying them attention. So yeah. Whew, thank you, Teresa. Rosin is saying animals are very keen on good energy. Your relationship with your feral cat neighbor speaks volumes. Oh, thank you. These are my friends. They are some interesting things. They can't come in the house, but the interesting thing is, 3 times. So I have the kittens when I've had to try to nurse them back to health. They've been on the porch in a crate. I am very big on a cat can't come in my house. The funny thing is, 3 times now I have opened my door and one of them has skirted past me. We've had a whole experiment in getting the cat out of the house, because I don't know that they really intended to do that. So it seems like they're terrified and I'm terrified. So it has happened 3 times so far. But anyway, those are my cat stories. Thank you. Crowdsourcing, good idea. I think that's what Booker T said he did. Absolutely. He had sold out his community before he even started building by sharing it on Instagram. You're absolutely right. He did say that. B is saying this combo is key, but it is really better served on your Patreon and in person. I see that now. Thank you for creating this space because it is firing all of the thought processes. Absolutely. And that is one of the things that for me, Patreon, like I want us to have a better, a safe space. So absolutely. Robert is saying, don't forget you have modeling as a I'm happy that you have so much faith in me, Robert. Thank you. Okay, Rosalind is saying, I asked a question about removing the wheels and not the axles. The zoning person said he didn't know and they'll get back to me. Okay, cool. Um, um, Interesting. Does your tie down anchor secure insurance discount? So insurance companies, it's not the traditional insurance companies that will insure tinies. There are just a few insurance companies that insure tinies, and the one I have used hasn't required a tie down, but some of them might, especially if you're going to be in a space for a long time. Robert is asking, am I also welcome to come to your house and are you going to cook? Robert is tripping. Robert, I haven't forgotten the conversation Crystal had with you on showing yourself. So you got some work to do before you can get invited to the house. And I can already tell you it's very likely I am not going to cook. Everybody knows that's not one of the things that I have on my list of enjoyment. I can cook. I don't like to cook. So you've got some major steps to get to. Crystal and I have years and years of friendship. So you got some work to put in, Robert. Troy is saying the answer is yes. I'm not exactly sure what you're answering, but Troy said the answer is yes. Teresa said behave, Robert. Rosalind is saying, I am a retired strong friend. Yes. All right. And so here we go. Crystal is saying the same thing I said. No. Sorry, Robert. No. She's never met you in person. She's not about to let you come to her home. It's just a fact. I actually know Jewel since about 2016. So there you have it. But I didn't even know Crystal had answered that. So Day is saying, someone please explain Patreon. So it is a membership community. It has different levels. There's a free level. It is we discuss articles. It is more of a community than this space is, where we can share articles, discuss articles. It is a more intimate space than the YouTube. YouTube is like open for the masses. Patreon allows people to sign up and connect and to have a more protected space, for lack of a better word, to be in community. Crystal, thank you. It's a paid monthly subscription with more content. Thank you. Thank you. Jewel, don't forget Mr. Dixon. He needs a consultant. Cynthia, we've talked about Mr. Dixon, but I need some. I don't know that I know details of Mr. Dixon. Did you email me on that and it's stuck in my emails? Cynthia, if you did already, I apologize. I know we've spoken about that before. I'm dropping my email address again. Can we connect on that? I'm sorry. All right, let me get through these comments. It's 1:30. It's so funny to me. Everybody already knew the answer to this. Day says, Robert, our Jewel can't cook for you until she first meets you. Everybody, everybody answered you, Robert. This is hilarious to me. I'm glad that you all know. Safety first. Absolutely. And Chris was saying Jewel doesn't cook. Jewel, I cook sparingly. Like I have been cooking I cook salmon. But I have a oh my god, an air fryer, which is saving my life right now. I do cook. I don't like to cook. Um, so yeah, that's not happening, Robert. Chris is saying they're your cats now. They belong to me. A Kofi account. I don't know what a Kofi account. That's not one of mine. Um, God will always send stray domestic animals to a loving soul. That's where the food is. Well, I've got a whole circus out here happening. Um, V is saying this chat alone has great pointers for folks to use for extra income using social media platforms. A team of folks could use to support each other to boost each other's income. Absolutely. Um, Robert, everybody knew the answer before you knew the answer. Oh, yes, Troy, to the book coming. Thank you. Yes, yes, Troy. Yes, Troy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, y'all are cracking me up. Um, Hilarious. He emailed you and met you, and he met you at the conference. I need to look again. I don't think I have an email from Mr. Dixon. Please let's connect on that. I don't think I have an email from him because I'm trying to do all the work. Thank you, Elle. Hi, Tracy. Good to see you. I'm coming to visit you one day soon. Um, Thank you for being here. Okay, good folks. Cynthia, please either ask Mr. Dixon to re-email me, or if you have some contact information. I don't think I have an email from a Mr. Dixon. Would love to connect with him. If he needs a consultant, I am his consultant, and I am ready to do some work. All right, good people. Patreon community members, we will connect on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. We are in Patreon. I have been queuing up some conversations around community. Last week we talked about Lake Lanier. I've been I really want to do deep dives into community and building communities of old, and kind of knowing our history and how we move forward and what community looks like for us. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing over in Patreon. So Wednesday, 7 o'clock, have your cameras on, be ready. We're going to share some time in some live community, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all. And we will not get together next Sunday. I'm going to say Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers in advance. And I hope you all have a fabulous Sunday. And for everyone else, I still hope you have a fabulous Sunday. And if you're in a challenging space as a mother, I hope you have a fabulous Sunday. Been there, understand how that feels and what that feels like, especially on Mother's Day. So I send everybody some love. I thank you all so very much for being my community. I needed you all today, and thank you for always showing up. And I always am amazed how I can not necessarily have a conversation or a subject matter queued up for our discussion, but we will be in community and still have conversation. We've been here for an hour and a half, and it's been some beautiful conversation. And I thank you all so much for that. I thank you all for being my community and allowing me to share with you all, and all of those things. Yes, Tracy, please reach out. I want to come over there. That is on my list. I keep trying to get a house sit over there. Um, uh, so Tracy lives in San San Miguel de Allende. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But absolutely want to visit. That's on my list of places to visit. It's so beautiful. Happy Mother's Day. Okay, Rosalind, I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. All right, everybody, I am going to say thank you all again. I'm going to do my closeout. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everybody has a great week. And we will connect in Patreon on Wednesday and then not next Sunday, but the following Sunday. And I should have a guest for us on that following Sunday. So I will have my act together to have us a guest. All right. Um, Thank you all so much. I appreciate you all so very much, and appreciate you all being and sharing in community and all of the things. So happy Sunday, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.